Good afternoon. I'm going to call the Planning and Economic Development Committee to order. And the first item of business is going to be a roll call.
Mrs. Root,
Here?
Mr. Barnes,
Present.
Mrs. Burdick, Mr. Curran, Mr. Dibble, Mr. Healy,
Here.
Mrs. Hopkins,
Here.
Mr. Ricky,
Here.
Mr. Crandall. 8 members present and 1 absent.
Thank you. The next item is a monthly report by Rita Sobeck Lynch, Employment and Training Director. Is Rita here? Yep. Rita, you want to step up to the podium? We all received her monthly report. We've had a chance to look at it. Does anyone have any questions? And or Rita, would you like to highlight anything for us? Does she need to turn on? Can you turn on your mic there, Rita?
There, I think it's on.
There you go. Thank you.
So the unemployment rates for the month of January for the United States was 6.8, New York State was 9.4, and Allegheny County was 7.2%. And in January of 2020, it was 6.5%. So there's not a lot of fluctuation there. We did an open interviews with API Heat Transfer Systems on the 15th, and we had 2 interested parties come for that. And it was our first time working with the Parallel Employment Group, so that was a nice contact to make with them. And currently on our job board, we have 10 businesses that are hiring in Allegheny County.
Thank you, Rita. Does anyone have any other questions for Rita? Mr. Healy?
Yes, Rita, and you know I'm always interested in the veterans, and I'm wondering here, you said 3 veterans receive services for job search and Saputo Job Fair.
Yes.
So was that 3 veterans that were hired?
We don't know who is hired yet. The actual hires will be in April, and so we don't know if they were actually hired.
Okay. But you did help to facilitate that, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And these veterans came in many times, so there were more veterans visits, but 3 of the same people, 3 different people.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Rita? If not, thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda is Keir Durham, Planning Director. He also gave us a monthly report. We've had time to look at it. If anyone has any questions, and Keir, do you want to highlight anything?
Sure do. I'm going to try to mess around with your cards. Now it knows who I am. Top of the chart, broadband. Give you a couple items. We are in discussions with WXXI about putting a new transmitter on the WXXY tower that's up near the Canada Dam, and that'll allow the last mile providers to service a lot of folks around the lake area and give them another option for internet. The Southern Tier West and ACTDC are working together on the grant that was applied for last year, over $400,000 from Appalachian Regional Commission to replace a lot of the radios, the 365 and 900 units that are currently on the towers are old now. They've been considered out of date. So we're getting some LTE-based units, and we're hoping that the RFP is due in a couple of weeks to be responded to, and hopefully by early May, the equipment will be in and will start to be installed on all the towers. And so May, June, hopefully done in that 2-month period or thereabouts. Those new units cut through tree cover a lot better than the old ones, and so we think that'll help both the last mile providers be able to sign up customers and more customers that would like an alternative to cable or fiber to consider going that way. The town of Amity and village of Belmont have agreed tentatively to work on a comprehensive plan. And we have had 2 meetings so far with folks from those groups, and we're going pretty strong, planning in the next 2 to 3 months with them, because Alfred State is tentatively planning to have their architectural class work in Belmont in the fall. So we need to prepare some information so that those students can have something to work from, and the community can be ready. And then we'll continue through the process of creating a comprehensive plan, assuming that's what the town and village would like to do. The planning board meets tonight. If anybody is interested in logging in, you just reach out to me and we can get you the Zoom link. And that's at 7 o'clock. And down below, pandemic plan, I received no comments from anyone since the draft plan was presented the first week of March. The closing date for comments was last Friday. And so except for some formatting and editing, what you saw at the beginning of the month is what you'll take up on Monday at the board meeting for approval. I will make those final edits and get you a clean copy for the Monday meeting. And as far as the police reform plan is concerned, today is the last day for comments, and then Michelle Denhoff will do the edits in the next couple days and also get the final version of that, which that one you absolutely need approved prior to April 1st, or else you could have impacts on funding that you get from the state. So we want to make sure that one gets through too. And lastly, we've been undertaking a detailed analysis of the county's website and looking into pages that haven't been updated in a number of years, things that seem to be out of date, and hopefully we can improve the county's website significantly over the coming months, get it back up to speed the way it should be. So those are things that I can take questions on. Anything else if you'd like.
Yes, Mrs. Burdick?
Does the pandemic plan have to be submitted to the state, or does it just stay?
We have to. We initially thought it had to be actually submitted. Last we heard from NISAC was that it has to be approved locally and posted into the county website. And it's mostly an internal document. It's really not an external document. So it's that's the plan. We'll put it where the employees are most likely to see it in case we have something rise up again.
Anybody have any other questions for Mr. Kier while he's up? Mr. Barnes?
Yes, you talked about the website. Is the planning department in charge of the website?
We do a majority of the maintenance. We have a team that works with IT on technical issues. Mason Digital is our consultant who takes care of the things that are beyond basic editing. So we, day-to-day edits, we do. We are happy to teach any department how to do the edits on their pages. And there's probably at least a half dozen that do that themselves. So they can maintain their own pages, and that's wonderful if they will. But some don't feel comfortable doing that. So we take care of them and make sure it's good for them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Durham. Next up is Gretchen Hanchett, and she is the Greater Allegheny County Chamber Director. We received her monthly report also. We've had time to look at it. And Gretchen, is there anything you want to highlight?
Well, it's good to see all of you in person. I think it's been 6 months or so since I've been in here when it closed again. So the few things I want to highlight, when I was putting together this report, the weather was nice, shots are getting in arms, and I think we're going to start seeing events start opening up. I know when we've talked to some of our organizers of past events, they are really kind of looking to see where the governor's going to open up the number to attend, whether it's worth it for them to be able to do it. But we're starting to see some perk up, and they'll be making those calls, and we'll be sharing that with you. So I see that there's hope in it. I did get a email from Ross Levi, who is the executive director and president of New York Tourism, and we'll be happy to see it, but they are going to be returning the 20% they held. And honestly, this is the first time he said, watching the budget carefully to see where we'll be moving forward with tourism, and I'm hoping to see an RFP come out this year, if not next year. So those are good notes to move forward as the weather gets nice. I'm usually the person that comes up here and tells you all the wonderful things going on and why it's great to be here, and I'm happy to be doing that again. We will be out at Quickly's in our Tourism Information Travel Center. And as I always say, you're all invited to come out there. It's quite fun, and it is getting warmer. So other than that, we are still being conscious of what we have to work with to spend. We'll be going back and picking up some of our travel guides that have been out to distributors who have not been able to put them out because at this time we do not have the funding for a new travel guide at this point. So we'll be making sure we get those out. We are working with 2 distributors at this point, and some of our other distributors, until funding loosens up, we'll be able to negotiate and figure out what we'll be doing there. We continue to work with our partners going up north, and that is with the Fresh Air Adventure program that will be kind of really covering all the way down from Pennsylvania up to Canada. So it is really our area to be working for. We're most like them, and it really falls into many of the projects between the trails and the riverfront revitalization program. It will make a good partnership with them. Our next step will be finding a marketing firm that will be pulling that group together, and working together with these groups helps us consolidate our money to be able to do a better product and get a PR company to work on it. So I think that is it in a nutshell right now.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Gretchen? If not, I thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Next up is Dr. Craig Clark, Economic Development, Industrial Development Agency. We received his monthly report also ahead of time. We've had time to look at it. Craig, do you want to do any highlights?
Yes. Go through a few things, and I'll try to go slower so people can ask questions. First, the Crossroads project. The only reason I'm bringing that up, if you've been out there recently, the Dunkin' Donuts signs are becoming up. Or basically, they're actually working on that space. They're hoping to have Dunkin' Donuts up and operational at least by May. So that's good news. And we'll enjoy that, if nothing else, out at the Crossroads. There'll be some place to go get some food again. Angel Fund, we've been meeting weekly, actually, the investors, with a potential project. We're hoping to have something solidified in the next couple of weeks. It may take a month, but there is a really interesting project. It could have some huge impact in the county. The Wellsville Business Park, continue to work with that developer. They've got some small projects and potentially one large project we're working on with Empire State Development and an international company. They did go through their sales. I think they didn't sell everything, but they sold the majority of what was in there. And I don't know how long it'll take them to clean out some of that space, but a lot of that space will be available for any kind of rental in the near future. Great Lake Cheese, we continue to work on that project. We're getting really close to acquiring the land. We're working on that. And the very last bullet notes that March 22nd, 11 o'clock, there'll be a public hearing. It'll be in place at the Crossroads as well as on a WebEx And I've sent you and Brenda all the information you can share with the legislature about that. And along with the Great Lakes Cheese Project, we will be making a formal team together with the communities of the community of Cuba, including working with Lee James, a small group, to try to figure out what we're going to be doing with that facility in the future. But that's got 4 or 5 years to plan, but we want to make sure we have a plan on what to do with the Great Lakes facility, Great Lakes Cheese facility. It's in Cuba. Any questions on any of those things? That's page 1. Yes, Gary?
Legislator Barnes, what is the timetable for Great Lakes Cheese to be fully operational at the new facility?
Once they break ground, it's about a 3-year construction period, and they figure it'd be 4 years to be fully operational, depending upon how that transition happens. But it's a 3 to 4 year time frame. And because it's such a big project, obviously it's going to take quite a bit to get not just all the equipment installed, but get it operational. Anything on that first page? Anything else? Quiet group. Second page, just a couple things. The microenterprise grant, I think I've mentioned before, we completely utilized all the funds. $170,000 is allocated. The first draw will be coming out shortly. That's a reimbursable grant where the grantees have to basically spend money, then they get reimbursed. And so they will be getting their first draw, first check sometime, hopefully as early as this month, if not beginning of April, because they've been spending money based upon getting the grant. And we're hoping to get another such grant in the fall because we've been very fortunate. We've had a lot of pent-up demand. We didn't have any problem giving the grants out. And we've got a really good grant manager who's Sickerman is working on that. And it's a consulting firm, and they're real happy with how we've been working on that as far as the state.
So I just want to make a point that your report said that 6 businesses had their plans approved. I
Right.
just wanted to get that out there.
And there will be a public announcement now that we have all 6 plans. We can announce names and the projects. We can't announce the full grants, and that was interesting because the grant actually is based upon a business plan, and for some reason the owners don't want their full business plan forwarded out to the public. But we will announce the six winners that got that, and all of them I think are going to make a difference. They're either going to grow themselves and or hire people, so I think they're going to be good. There's some good projects in there. The only other thing I had is Kier had mentioned that pretty sure we're going to use Belmont Amity for another project from Alfred State College. That's the project funding is interesting in there because what we get to do is an Appalachian Regional Commission grant. It's a small grant. Once the students get done with their visualization part of a plan, they get to go to Washington, D.C. and present it to other colleges, usually about 12 other colleges. And it's a good experience for the students. A lot of the students, believe it or not, have not been to Washington, D.C., so they get to spend one afternoon carousing around Washington, D.C., and also working with 12 other colleges. So it's a lot of fun. The other thing that's nice is the Appalachian Regional Commission director and all of his staff are actually at the event, so they know much more about what's happening in the county. So I think that's a good connection as well. Any other questions? Quiet group today.
Yeah, sure is. Thank you, Craig.
That was the lunch.
So the next item is any old business. Does anyone have any old business to bring forth today? If not, does anyone have any new business? Do we have anything for the good of the order? Mr. Dibble?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to mention at the budget meeting, talked about sales tax and how much we jumped up in the restaurants this year versus last year, what's coming in the first quarter. I want to thank the small businesses out there for staying alive and keeping it going. I was in Short Track Saturday morning, and people standing in line to have pancakes. What a great thing. You wouldn't think it, but it is, you know. So thank you to the mom and pop restaurants for struggling through this thing. Hopefully they'll continue to grow. That's all.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Dibble. If there isn't anything else, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Mr. Healy makes the motion and Mr. Curran seconds it. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.